Welcome to Discovery Watch with John Kaiser.
I'm Jim Goddard. Welcome back to the show, John.
Jim, it's a pleasure to be back.
John, Sun Metals published more results for Stardust last week, and the stock went down. What is the market unhappy about?
The market is still unhappy with the manner in which Sun Metals is disclosing its results. They've adopted a very conservative policy designed to discourage optimistic speculation. And the way they're doing this is they're only reporting about what they have done, and they only report when they have assays, which means that it's for holes that were drilled 3 to 4 weeks ago, sometimes longer, because sometimes the results are so high, what they call over limit, they have to send them back for check assays to make sure that they are correct. So they are very strict about just showing the locations of holes they have drilled and reporting the results. So right now we have a situation where there are 4 holes pending, but we don't know where they are. And they have 2 holes currently underway, which means there are 2 drill pads, 2 separate drill pads, on which the drills are sitting. And they're trying to probe where does this 421 zone go. So the latest results had 5 holes in it that were sort of weak mineralization and not very interesting, and the market may have reacted negatively to that. But as part of this whole directional drilling strategy, this is not a tabular vein type of a system that they're trying to find. This is a skarn body, and it will have a peculiar geometry, and it'll be more like a cigar plunging, and you need to figure out, well, where is it going? So these holes are kind of doing what they're supposed to do. They're bracketing the upper and lower limits. Now, one of the good results they reported was a 25-meter step out to the north of the 421 line, and then the other one was another hole 50 meters to the south of it. And they've already come out and said that, well, we think the vectoring direction for intensifying mineralization with copper as the dominant mineral is towards the north and not to the south. So everybody's thinking, okay, they must be marching towards the north, and now we have a 25-meter step out. And I can sort of see, based on what they have provided, a body that's maybe 75 meters long, 50 meters wide, maybe 100 meters down dip. And if you use a 4.0 specific gravity, that's about 1.5 million tons. What the grades are going to be, it's too early to tell. The market's somewhat unhappy because it always wants something bigger and better than the discovery hole from last year. And so far, the numbers have not been bigger and better. We are still dealing with a body that's much richer than what is the Canyon Creek skarn, for which a resource estimate already exists. But another thing that the market's unhappy about is the company is being very minimalist in terms of the diagram it's providing. They give us this phrase that this thing is looking like a parasitic fold hinge of a broad anticline within recumbently folded limestone. Well, okay, great. Geo jargon. Where's the cartoons that help ordinary mortals understand what's going on? It's pretty bad when even the independent directors and Mark O'Day, who is not independent, but is not part of the everyday analysis of what's going on, when they read this news release, even they don't really know what's going on, what lies ahead. Now, all the directors did go up to the project early last week and get to see what was going on. They then had a small analyst crew go up there. But even then, the concern with selective disclosure, which is a very legitimate concern, because when you have a minimalist disclosure only describing what has happened and not letting people see what's currently happening, and that might actually lead to something bigger and better. If you bring outsiders onto the property without non-disclosure agreements. You run the risk of what's called selective disclosure, where as they can see where the holes are and can see what's coming up in the core, and they can triangulate and all that, they can have a much better understanding of what is taking shape. So I believe even these analysts weren't really taken to where the current holes are. But my suspicion is that they have probably stepped to the north of this zone, probably having to drill deeper holes, if this comment they put in the press release about it plunging to the north, possibly due to a series of east-west faults, the very existence of which means they must have stepped farther to the north. So they are hopefully sitting on something that is evolving, and that over the next 3 to 4 weeks we will get results that show, yes, this zone is getting stronger to the north. It's also apparently still open to the south. It's just that the copper-gold ratio is going more in favor of gold, and yet the gold isn't really that high that it becomes a gold play. So the focus is to track it to the north, see where it goes, and hopefully over the next 6 to 8 weeks, we start seeing something much more substantial take shape, a 3 to 4 million ton body. But we need to know where those holes are being drilled so that we can speculate on optimistic outcomes, not just be sort of guided to expect the worst, because we're not being allowed to see anything ahead of the car, only to look at everything in the rear view mirror.
We'll have more with John Kaiser right after this.
I'm Douglas Mason, CEO of Naturally Splendid, symbol NSP on the TSX Venture Exchange. Naturally Splendid is a biotechnology and consumer products company focused on the global cannabis and health markets. Naturally Splendid is expanding distribution in this rapidly growing market with products currently in Canada, the USA, South Korea, Germany, and Australia. To view our comprehensive company presentation and for more information, please visit our website at naturallysplendid.com.
Cypress Development Corp. is developing a world-class lithium resource in the heart of Clayton Valley, Nevada. The size of the resource makes the Clayton Valley project a premier asset with the potential to impact the future of lithium supply. Cypress Development Corp. trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol CYP, the OTCQB, symbol CYDVF, and on Frankfurt, symbol C1Z1. For more information, please visit our website, cypressdevelopmentcorp.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with John Kaiser. John, West Haven Ventures reported more results for the Shovelnose project that the market just shrugged off, but now the stock is trending higher. What's going on at Shovelnose?
I was complaining about Sun Metals Corp. and its disclosures is not really helping us speculate in a big way. In the case of West Haven Ventures, they produced a news release which only talked about holes that one of the rigs has been drilling within the established south zone, which is this low sulfidation epithermal vein system which has very good gold and silver grades. They reported several holes in the northern part of it. One of them, they stepped a bit to the east to sort of overcut the main vein 1 zone, which is the strongest, and they managed to hit a third parallel vein, they call vein 3, which also has some very good high-grade gold-silver mineralization. But the results were still dealing with that roughly 450-meter segment, which to the south is faulted off by a fault that seems to have upthrown the system. And so the concern for the market is, well, this is a fabulous system. If it runs for 3 kilometers instead of just 500 meters, then we have something a lot better than, maybe a 500,000 ounce upside potential. Then we're dealing with a multi-million ounce high-grade system, and this is what could take West Haven Ventures achieve a much higher valuation than the current level. So the absence of any discussion about efforts to find the vein system to the south, that was kind of disturbing, and which is why the market sort of said, oh, is this all that's going on? Well, you had to talk to management to find out that, no, the crew has been very busy in that southern part, south of that fault, and what started off as a soil sampling program in an area where the company and the predecessors who had the project never really looked at it before, the crew starts saying, oh, look, there's a bit of outcrop here, and in one of these old logging roads here, we've actually got a road cut here, and we can see rock, and look, there's veining present here. So what started off as a soil geochem sampling program, because this area was, full of, covered with overburden and assumed to be, basically the bedrock's undercover, and then there's patches of forest left by the logging companies, which also make everything difficult. All of a sudden, it turned into a prospecting and mapping program. So what's taking shape behind the scenes is a much bigger understanding of the geology to the south of that fault, which late last year kind of put a damper on speculations. And apparently they have some holes drilled with assays pending. They're not saying anything whether there's good visuals in this, but they seem pretty excited that the system is present to the south. Whatever disrupted the veins in that 500-meter mark may have just been a local disruption. And they're also doing a more detailed magnetic survey, because they are pretty confident that the magnetics are helping them understand the rhyolite host rock for the quartz vein that has all the grade in it. And we have sort of 2.5-3 kilometers of running room to the south. Now, we still need confirmation that they have picked up the mineralized system to the south of the fault, and hopefully we get that in the next 3 to 4 weeks. But the stock is trending up on speculation that they're having success establishing that there is considerable strike to this system, not just a remnant from what may have once been a great system.
We'll have more with John Kaiser right after this.
Admiral Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Grand Portage Resources' Herbert Gold Project in southeast Alaska highlights increased gold resource, indicated and inferred, of 860,000 ounces, in excess of 10 grams per ton gold. Expansion drilling is planned on the Herbert Gold property for the summer of 2019. Grand Portage Resources trading symbols are GPG on the TSX Venture, GPTRF on the OTCQB, and GPB on Frankfurt. For more information, please visit our website, grandportage.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with John Kaiser. John, this Saturday you'll be presenting at the Metals Investor Forum in Vancouver. Two of the companies in your session are Rugby Mining and Forum Energy, which are already Discovery Watch juniors. The third company, Orestone Mining, is not. Should we be watching Orestone for a discovery?
Orestone Mining Corp is an excellent candidate for Discovery Watch. I've also made it a strong bottom fish recommendation for my subscribers. The company has many aspects to it which are really suitable for where I think we are, which is in the subtle turning point of what has been a brutal 8-year bear market. If you looked at gold, you would think, okay, we should be in a roaring bull market for the resource juniors, but the gold uptrend is haunted by the experience of that sort of 2009 to 2011 period where gold went exponential after the financial crisis, and then it peaked and fell back sharply and put the juniors into a very bad bear market. And everybody always thinks that the future will be similar to the recent past. So the investors are hanging on the sidelines saying, yeah, well, we don't believe this. Gold may even run to $2,000, but then it'll fail and go back to 1,100, just like it did before, and will have been caught once again getting sucked into chasing these juniors. So in my view, we need to see a sustained rally that probably takes gold through $2,000. before we see large audiences return to the junior resource sector. Now, it's important to have a higher real gold price for the juniors, both for the optionality plays and for discovery exploration, because it is the higher real price which lowers the bar for what sort of intersection counts as ore grade mineralization. After 8 years of bear market, many of the groups that are out there, and Orestone's management, headed by CEO David Hotman and Gary Nordin, this is a group that has had many cycles in the past. But when they took on this company, Orestone, in 2011, we still had sort of like the hopes that the pullback in gold is just temporary, everything's going to get better. Orestone itself went public in 2008 with a group that had the Captain Project in central British Columbia, where the goal was to look for a Mount Milligan look-alike. That whole property area is covered by overburden, over 50 meters thick in most places, if not more. And the old group did a number of programs, and they would get sort of a weakly mineralized alteration in the bedrock, saying, yeah, this is the right territory for a porphyry copper-gold system, but they never really got ore grade. And then they handed the keys to David Hotman in 2011. They did a rollback and raised some money and did a couple of drill programs. And those, again, did not really deliver ore grade mineralization. And so they ended up having to do another rollback, 5-for-1 in 2017. And so this is actually the second attempt by this group to relaunch Orestone. Now, it is kind of a reunion of groups of people who worked together in the past. David Hotman and Gary Nordin were part of the early incarnation of Bema when the Refugio project was a big discovery, and Julia Aspinalla and Patrick Daniels were part of the finding this project and getting this thing going. And then David and Gary went off to found El Dorado, and that ended up in somebody else's hands after the 90s. And now we have all these people coming back together. Even recently, Bruce Winfield, who was part of the El Dorado cycle, he has joined the company as president. And we are at the beginning of a new cycle. And this is the sort of company where we have all these experienced people, both in terms of doing competent exploration, designing programs, but also in marketing. They're starting almost at rock bottom. They had to do an 11-cent financing earlier this year in which quite a few brokers participated, and that just came free trading. So there's liquidity in the market now as the brokers do their usual clip and flip stuff. And they've just finished a $600,000 flow-through financing at 16 cents to pay for the Captain project. Now, what makes me really interested in the drill program that just began on the Captain is the history of the current target, the Admiral. Back in 2013, they were drilling a target to the southeast of what is now the Admiral target, and then as the last hole of the season, they went back to this linear magnetic high that the previous group had tried to drill some percussion holes into, but they could never get to the depth of the bedrock, because it turns out it's 80 meters thick in this area, and they decided, well, there is an IP anomaly based on only a couple lines associated with this linear mag anomaly. Let's drill a hole into it. And sure enough, it turned out to be a barren gabbro dike, 50 to 100 meters wide, running for about almost 2,000 meters. And but when they looked at the core, there was a 3-meter interval that ran 0.226% copper, and very interestingly, 1.9 grams per ton gold. And it was an altered monzonite, very different from the other sort of porphyry-style mineralization that they've encountered in this area. So, but at the time, well, it seems to be a fragment. It's a xenolith. It's a piece of something that doesn't belong in this dike. Obviously, the dike, as it went through this area, picked up some country rock, digested it, and they happened to get lucky and hit it. 2013, the whole market was falling apart. They did not have money to do anything further. But in 2016, they went back and did a more detailed IP survey with more lines, and it confirmed that, yes, there is a 2,000 by 1,000 meter anomaly in this area. It's bounded by a fault on the northern side, and running right through it is this gabbro dike. So their hypothesis was, what if this is a monzonite intrusion here that is well mineralized with gold and copper, and the chemistry suggests it's probably more red Chris-like than Mount Milligan-like. What if we manage to hit the barren dike that's right in the middle? What if we step to the north and we would actually get something similar to this xenolith that's inside the dike? And if we have a body with like 0.2, 0.3% copper and 1 to 2 gram per ton gold, we have a substantial discovery. This is a billion-ton footprint that they're testing, and so what started in last week, in fact, was the first of a number of holes. The drill has a capacity to go to 700-meter depth. Obviously, if they get into similar-looking rock, they're going to push it to that depth to see what's going on. But we have a potential for a discovery in an area that has seen a fair bit of work during the past decade, but only delivered clues. And it's as a result of the geologists looking at this one little clue, the xenolith, to realize that there could be something that is going on here where no drill holes have ever been put into. It's all undercover. And what I like about the Orestone story is this is plan A for now, but it's actually plan B, unfinished business from the past that's being tested. Late last year, Julia and Patrick helped them option a property called Resguardo in Chile, which is a high-grade copper skarn mine, sort of small-scale mining, both little pits and small underground, shipped off for some toll processing. But they believe that there is a substantial porphyry system associated with the skarn mineralization, which itself is not really a large-scale target. There was an IP survey done with a couple lines which suggested a chargeability anomaly, which is usually associated with disseminated sulfides, and you hope that it's going to be full of copper and gold also, not just pyrite. And they are right now doing a more detailed survey to tighten this up and get a better understanding of what this target looks like. So even if the current plan A of the captain with its Admiral target turns into another disappointment such as the earlier efforts at captain, the real story will be later this year or early next year when they take on the Resguardo project. And this is where bringing back together this old BIMA team which went into Chile and turned the Refugio into a big mine. This is where the timing of all this happening now, as we gradually have a market start to accept that we're heading into a junior resource bull market. This is where a company like Orestone, with all these pieces coming together, is an ideal candidate for Discovery Watch.
John, thank you so much for the update.
You're welcome, Jim.
We've been speaking with John Kaiser, his website, kaiserresearch.com. I'm Jim Goddard.
Comments made on Discovery Watch are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any manner whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Archived online at howestreet.com. Discovery Watch is a production of Howe Street Media Incorporated.